Welcome to our Monday, June 30th special school board meeting. We will start with our official school board business. Dr. Baracco.
Thank you. Before Mr. James talks about the two specific resolutions that we're going to seek the board to approve today, I want to go over the main topic of this. Oh, first I need to amend the agenda. So before I get into my topic, we need to amend the agenda. There is an additional professional leave request under Roman numeral 2.3, and we are also tabling Roman numeral 2E. 2D3 is additional, and 2E is tabled until our next meeting on July 14th.
So could you say that all again? 2E is tabled, right?
2E is tabled to July 14th, and 2D3 is a new item that wasn't on your original agenda, but it is on the one before you at your workstation. So now getting into this evening's topic, good afternoon. Today we are meeting to ask the board to approve placing an operating referendum on the November 2025 ballot. Why we are here today instead of originally we were scheduled for spring of 2026. The state law changes under SEA 1 will significantly reduce the revenue that we can collect through property taxes. This referendum that we're proposing is about maintaining stability, not expanding services. It's about protecting all that we've worked for and built, not adding anything new, and it is not a new tax. It's a continuation with an updated rate that reflects our response to the new rules from the state. So what have we done so far? Well, the voters did approve our current operating referendum in 2018. At that time, we set a rate of 17 cents, which raises a little over $11 million per year currently. That funding supports teacher and staff retention, maintaining workable class sizes, and academic programs and student services. It also allowed us to add some nurses and 3 school resource officers to our staff. Why we need to act? Well, the truth is the 17-cent rate won't stretch far enough under the new funding structure, and without an update, we would face serious cuts to our classroom activities. Specifically, what are we proposing? We are proposing a new maximum rate of 26.14 cents per $100 of assessed value. This would raise up to $17.7 million annually. It allows us to continue offering the same level of support and programs that our families have grown to count on. What does it mean for taxpayers? Even though the rate is higher, the majority of owners will not pay more. Starting in 2026, new deductions and credits will phase in sharply, and by 2031, those changes will significantly reduce the taxable value of a home by nearly 2/3. For a median home value of $333,000, which is our median home value in St. John Township, the tax bill is expected to decrease by up to more than $100 next year, even with a higher rate. So the bottom line is this referendum is a responsible way to maintain financial stability under these new state constraints. It provides real tax relief for many homeowners while protecting student learning and supports. So in closing, we recommend the board adopt this resolution, authorizing the school corporation to place an operating referendum on the ballot in November 2025 for the purposes of sustaining educational and operational funding in response to reductions in property tax revenue. These uses would be for recruiting and retaining teachers and staff, supporting essential student health and safety initiatives, maintaining class size and academic programs, and meeting the learning needs of all students. We appreciate the board's leadership, and we seek board approval at this time. Mr. James?
Okay. So there are 2 resolutions that we seek the board's approval on. The first resolution authorizes the administration regarding the calculations for the potential referendum tax levy. Part of the ballot question indicates that we have to set the rate in the resolution and then determine what that impact is on the median taxpayer. And so this first resolution not only notes that the governing body feels that the school corporation cannot continue without having the referendum because of the funding, but then also authorizes the administration to move forward with the maximum tax rate of the 2614 and hereby do the calculations necessary to place that on the ballot. So I seek your approval on that resolution that was included in your board packet.
Well, I would like to move that we accept and wholeheartedly support the recommendation. I know that if we do nothing, that is not the answer to this problem. So totally agree with all these identification that you maintained and talked about, Larry, and you're right, we need to maintain those. And I think this is the venue to do that. So that is a motion.
We have a motion, and I will second that. Any further comments? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you. The second resolution is the referendum tax levy resolution, and this resolution has multiple parts. The first, we are now required to have what part is called a revenue spending plan, and this is where the school district is required to indicate what they intend to spend said money on, and those amounts were noted in your in part of the resolution and in your packet. And please note that it says that it imposes or shows what the max levy from this tax rate would be. And we're estimating over $17.7 million per year. However, because the way the new tax calculations are going to work for homeowners, that amount is going to slowly decrease over each year. So this 17.7 is the max. It's actually going to be less and less each year afterwards, which was the reason why we had to determine what rate would break us even to where we can continue as we are. So the resolution indicates that max levy amount. It indicates the verbiage for the ballot question. Upon your approval, the next steps would then be to submit these resolutions and certify them to the county auditor, who will then verify the calculations for the ballot question. And once the county auditor does that, then we send this to the DLGF for their approval, and then it comes back, and once they approve it, then we have to go back to the county and the election board throughout the, to get that then on the ballot for November. So that is a summary of the referendum tax levy resolution that was included in your board packet, and we seek your approval for that.
I would so move. I would also like to say that there were, at appropriate times with executive sessions, a lot of information was provided to this board to go along with why this type of referendum is needed. So thank you all that were involved in that for your work. We really appreciate that.
Well, I'll just add to that, is it's important for board training because of how the new law affects us as a school district. And it was important for some of our outside independent groups to, train the board adequately on what is coming in this next 6 to 8 years, so these sound decisions could be made with valuable information. So it was very useful use of our time. So thank you.
We have a motion from Ms. Talent,
I will second that.
second from Dr. Malco. Any other comments?
I do have a comment, and I think that maybe just to explain it for the information of any viewers, how do you know what's going to be happening in 2031? Both of you mentioned that. How do you know this?
Well, we're basing that on what the current law is now. And so the new tax calculations for homeowners is a process starting And it's a 6-year process, and the new Senate Enrolled Act 1 indicates how the calculation is going to be done each of the years between now and 2031. So as of June 30th, this is how the law is and how it's going to be. Of course, anything could change in another session, but based on the information we have now and what the General Assembly has enacted, this is how our calculations are going to play out. So,
In a nutshell, the deduction that people get, not even considering the credits, but the deduction goes from 48,000 currently to where by 2031 it will be 2/3 of their assessed value. So all taxes will be calculated on a much lower net assessed value. And those are the data pieces we used over that gradual 6-year period. There are obviously things that could be changed again. We seem to see a lot of education legislation each session anymore. So this is based on where we are today.
So Dr. Veracco, how did you know that? How did you determine that? Was there, besides the definition that's given in the SEA, right? But then you mentioned something about the decrease. So was there a study done that gave you this information, or?
no, it's a 6-step. Each year, the calculation is going to be different. So currently, instead of getting $40,000 off the top and then another 40% off, the amount you're going to get taken off the top is going to decrease, but the percentage amount is going to increase. And what those amounts are for the next 6 years are specifically spelled out in Indiana code now. So it's not like we're just determining what those percentages are going to be. They are very specific. So based on what our current assessed value is of the homes and all the properties within our taxing district, we can see what's going to happen each of the next 6 years. One, based on what everyone's values stayed exactly the same as they are now. And then also, well, what if property values went up 3-4%, whatever trend happens to be. So we have to take all those factors into consideration. You never know what the future is going to hold, but we know what the formula is going to be for the next 6 years. And that is exactly how we were able to determine this amount.
Okay, well, thanks for the explanation.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you. I guess my other item then is to seek your approval for the claims that were presented in your board packet.
Move for approval.
Motion from Dr. Malco, and I will second that. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
And then our Assistant Superintendent, Mrs. Castaneda.
Thank you. I'm seeking the board's approval for the professional leave request.
So moved.
We have a motion from Mrs. Talent, and I will second that. Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
And Dr. Bracy.
Good evening. My only item for tonight is to seek your approval for the professional leave request in your packets.
Move for approval.
Motion from Dr. Malco,
I will second.
second from Mrs. Talent. Any questions, discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Schooneman.
Thank you. I am also seeking the board's approval for the professional leave requests included in your amended packet.
So moved.
Motion from Ms. Talent. I will second that. Any discussion or questions?
I did have a question, Mrs. Schooneman. You're going to a principals meeting? And not as one connected with central office?
Yes, the Fall Professionals, IASP, in November.
Okay, I was just kind of intrigued that it was secondary principal versus something more attuned to a central office position.
So actually, I had talked with Todd Bess recently, and he encouraged me to attend and keep taking part in that organization. Also, our high school principal, Erin Novak, is up for Principal of the Year, and so I definitely wanted to be there to support her in that.
Oh, so I don't think we knew that, or if somebody knew it, I didn't know that. So she's at the state level now,
Yes,
not just the local.
exactly. Yep, we just submitted her recommendations.
Oh, okay, so when will you know?
I'm not sure if they reveal it before They do not? Okay.
Okay.
So it's during that fall professionals conference.
So you're going down, anyone else going down?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Just curious. All right, thank you.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. And Mr. Ledyard?
Thank you, Mrs. Seuss. I just have one item tonight. Mrs. Cruz and I have been working with the Coling PTO. They've been wanting to do an outdoor classroom at Coling. So they've got all that information together. It was in your board packet tonight. It basically consists of 5 tables with umbrellas, and they'd like to do a donation for this outdoor classroom in the amount of $18,143.14. So I seek your approval for the Coling PTO to make this donation for the Coling outdoor classroom.
That is a motion that I'd like to bring to the board, and what a nice donation from the PTO at Coling.
All right, we have a motion, and I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, we'll move into Board of Education comments. Any comments, Dr. Malco?
I am curious how, and I know I asked this just earlier this week, but would you, maybe Sarah, I'm not sure who's in charge of the staffing, but would you keep us informed? Whoever that might be.
That's me, of course.
That's you. All right, you'll let us know. Are we hiring anybody right now?
We are. It's a much smaller number than usual since we've had some declining enrollment.
Okay, so it's more the secondary level?
No, it's been at the elementary as well.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Talent?
Yes, I would like to just make a comment that, Mrs. Gramala, thank you very much for everything that you helped to facilitate, even if it was just permission for the group of individuals for the PACT that helped supply the vendor fair this spring. And to build upon that, at the Dyer Redevelopment Committee meeting, they were talking about the Dyer Fest and reviewing how wonderfully the event went for our community. And within that, they have put a afternoon so that families that have children or adults that perhaps cannot usually attend an event like a carnival, there is a section of time where they get that facility for themselves. And believe me, it received a lot of positive. So really on the good roll of that. Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to helping out wherever I can with this referendum and seeing it pass. So with that, we have no public comments, so we'll move right into adjournment. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion from Dr. Malco. And
Second.
we are adjourned.